All right. All right. It is 6:31.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, so calling our December 2nd meeting to order.
I second it.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay. I'm going to do a roll call just for the record. Janitha is absent. Jamal? Present?
Here.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
present.
you. Blanca?
Here.
Thank you. Rick?
In favor.
Thank you. Shauna?
Here.
Nico?
Here.
Nakia? Not present. Doug?
Here.
And Clarence, also not present. So with that being said, we do have officially a quorum to start the meeting. Thank you all for being here and getting started on time.
All right, so I'd like to move to approve the minutes from our November 4th meeting. Can I get a second?
I second that. To move forward.
Thank you, Jamal. So we have approval of our meeting. Do we have any members of the public tonight, Kimberly?
None.
Looks
that's
like no.
on the call. No.
Okay, so we can skip by public commentary. Our new business, we can jump right into new business. We don't have anything else, right?
Nope,
All right.
go right ahead.
Jumping right into new business. We are first up, we've got to approve our 2021 meeting schedule. Everybody have a chance to look at that, or they need further explanation from Kimberly?
So, it is what it is. We'll work our way. Put it on the
Okay.
calendar and see how it all works out.
All right, so I'm gonna move to approve the 2021 meeting schedule.
I second.
Thank you, Rick and Blanca. Kimberly, do we need a quorum of approval
A
for
roll
that?
call. Let me go ahead and just do that for the record. Jamal?
Yes.
Okay. Blanca?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Shauna?
Yes.
Nico?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
All right, we have approval of the 2021 meeting schedule.
My bad that yes was so aggressive. I thought you were like asking me a question.
Oh, that's okay. We're not the aggressive part yet of the meeting. It will be coming soon with these. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you very much. I will get this posted and I will send out calendar invites for 2021. And as I was saying earlier, I will not be at the next meeting in January. I'm actually going to take 3 weeks off from work, which I've never done in my entire career. So COVID has done that to me. But anyway, with that said, my colleague Paulina Martinez will be stepping in my role, but Aaron will be present at the meeting. So I will keep her up to speed in making sure that you guys have a seamless meeting in January. All right, and I'll come back in February.
Oh, I can tell you this, that with 3 weeks, the first week is going to be FedExing and picking up emails. And then once you get past that, then you're really going to relax and really enjoy the time away.
We'll
And then
see.
you got 2 weeks to do it.
I have never taken more than a week off from work, so we'll see.
Good for
All
you.
right. All right, so on to the other business. I will leave it back to you to go over the cases for today's meeting. So Department Inquiry 2010. Aaron, would you like to give a overview of that?
Sure. So DI 2010 was initiated in July of this year. The complainant spoke with one of the OPS sergeants, felt that the officers didn't take him seriously, and he was insulted. The OPS sergeant thought Rule 2 and Rule 20 were appropriate. The incident itself, the complainant was in the 800 block of Main Street. He was urinating in the alley when another subject came up and made some comments to him of sexual nature. They got in an altercation, which almost became physical when he grabbed a tire. The complainant grabbed a tire iron and then police showed up at the scene. The complainant was agitated. He felt like he was uncooperative initially, and he felt like he was accused of doing something wrong. So a review was done of it. The patrol sergeant who reviewed it unfounded Rule 2 and 20 for both officers. The patrol commander also unfounded and recommended no further action with this, as did the deputy chief. I don't know if anybody has any questions on the investigation. Otherwise, you guys feel free to discuss it.
Any discussion on 2010? DI 2010?
I didn't see any issues. So
I didn't
no.
either.
Okay, I mean, sounds like the officer apologized 3 times and the complainant wasn't cited for public indecency, so I think he's winning. Any other commentary on that one? All right, so I move to send DI 2010 to DHS.
Second that.
Let's
Uh,
see.
Second,
Thank you. Was that Doug?
yes.
Okay. Aaron, you want to lead us into DI 2012?
Sure. So DI 2012 occurred in August of this year. Patrol officer responded to a pharmacy. The store manager said there was somebody down there who was kind of using profane language and making a scene at the store. And when the officer dealt with the individual, he thought that the officer was unprofessional. The OPS sergeant thought Rule 1, 2, 18, and 20 may fit for this. The incident per the report was basically that the complainant was down there. He was yelling profane statements. The store manager did refuse him service, asked him to leave. There was some issues with the names he provided for his prescription versus his real name. And the complainant called 911, as did the store manager. When the complainant called 911, he requested to speak with the chief of police. He would not give his information and he did not want to wait around for a supervisor. So the patrol sergeant reviewed the case, exonerated the officer. And the second complaint he exonerated him on the unlawful detention because a subject felt that he was detained against his will. Clearly the officer was investigating a crime, so he could detain him. As far as the being improper or unprofessional, that was unfounded. It looks like the commander also exonerated the first complaint and unfounded the second, as did the deputy chief.
Okay, do we have any discussion on DI 2012? I know we had a request from someone, Kimberly, for the video on this.
That was Nakia. I don't know, she's not present, but she had interest in seeing the video.
Does
do you
anyone
want-
present have any interest in seeing the video on this? It is finished and redacted. I personally don't have any need, but I think we should go into executive session if even one person does, since the work is done.
I do not.
I don't either.
All right, let's move to send DI 2012 to DHS.
HSC.
Let's see.
Whatever, well, you know.
That's okay. The record would have the correct name of
With-
Jesse.
I think you guys know what I'm doing for a living when I'm
Yeah, all your
talking
acronyms
to
with the feds.
every day. Sorry, HSC.
Jesse,
I'll get
that's
there.
fine.
I'll get there. Too much talk in the Department of Homeland Security. Sorry.
Second,
All right, let's
a
take,
second.
okay, thank you.
Can I get a second, please?
Oh, we need a second.
A second.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, cool.
All right, moving on, we are cruising tonight to DI 2014. Aaron, if you can give us the synopsis of that one.
Sure. So DI 2014, a citizen called the service desk, who's one of the officers at the front desk who takes non-emergency phone calls. The person was calling essentially for COVID questions. It was after hours, and 311 was closed. So at that point, all the telephone calls are routed to our civilian service desk. The civilian service desk officer stated that she was unable to provide the caller with any information. The caller was just seeking guidance from the health department. The caller felt that the service desk officer was not helpful. There was no customer service, thought that she was mocked and demeaned during the phone conversation. The service desk manager ended up reviewing this and, oh, I'm sorry. It was Rule 2, 4, and 20 is what the investigating OPS sergeant thought fit this. And the service desk manager reviewed this and she thought that rules 2 and 4 were not sustained, but rule 20 should be sustained. And rule 20 is a failure to provide prompt, correct, or courteous service. And she recommended a shift level counseling for this. And since the service desk manager reports directly to the deputy chief, it was a deputy chief who then reviewed this after that. The deputy chief did concur with that. So rules 2 and 4 were unfounded, but rule 20 was sustained and a shift level counseling was determined.
It seemed appropriate from my perspective under those circumstances. Yes, he could have done a better job in that confrontation, but nonetheless, response kind of where we are is appropriate from my perspective.
I agree with Rick. I also had some concern about whether or not Rule 4 was violated. So I had requested the audio, which I realized was uploaded and I just missed. Did anyone else catch that audio file? Is that long, Aaron? Can we listen to that?
It is not long. I forget how long it is exactly.
That long. So we
Okay.
can go into exec session
All right, then
to hear that case.
And if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to move to convene into a short executive session pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes. I move
Yes.
that Citizen Review Commission convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding personnel.
Second.
Okay, so I do recognize, I want to acknowledge that we have, who seconded that, by the way?
Doug did.
Okay, perfect. I do see that we have a person on the call that is a non-member. So what I'm going to do, I am going to pause this video and then take us into an exec session into another room to view the video where Aaron, if you can go ahead, or Glew, if you can go ahead and record that session for me. That way we can have that that recording. And then also we'll be back in this room once we're done convening. And for the sake of the individual who just joined, we go into exec session to review the video and to ask questions regarding to the video. Any deliberation or any action taken comes back out into the meeting, the public meeting. So there will be no decisions made within that. All right, and there you go. Okay, so let me go ahead and put you guys into the room, and then we will get started. So let me.
Okay, do we have everyone back? Yeah, okay. Thank you everyone for going into executive session for the recording for DI 2014. After listening to that 311 call, do we have any further discussion? Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm glad, I just want to say I'm glad that we had a chance to look at the video.
Yeah, that was really helpful.
Not the video, but the recording.
Yeah, it was super helpful.
Yeah, it was definitely helpful. I mean, I
Uh,
hope, obviously there's a learning from this, right?
Yes, it gives us some insight into the two sides of the coin, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's, I would like to move that we move DI 2014 to HSC.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. And we can move on to DI 2015. Aaron, could you please give us the synopsis for that one?
Sure. So in August, the complainant had called about an incident that occurred in November of 2019. So I'm sorry, I take that back. The incident occurred in December of 2018. The complainant said that she was part of a domestic disturbance, and the officer wrote in the report that she was intoxicated when she says, in fact, she was not. The OPS investigator felt that Rule 1, 2, and 20 applied to this. The complainant basically said that she chose not to drive home that night because her vehicle was inoperable, not because she was intoxicated. The officer did document in his report that the complainant did admit to drinking that night, and he did smell the odor of alcohol. So she was upset that she was accused of being intoxicated. She was asked by the OPS supervisor why she waited so long. She said she did call in November of 2019 and spoke with somebody in the Office of Professional Standards. However, there was no documentation of that conversation. She claimed that she was sick, and then once the COVID-19 pandemic happened, it further delayed her complaint. The only issue with that is the retention time on the video is typically 90 days unless the Office of Professional Standards gets information that there's going to be a complaint. So there was no video and no audio of this call. So this was sent down to the patrol supervisor. The patrol supervisor exonerated the officer, as did the patrol commander did not sustain it. So it was not sustained. And the deputy chief also gave it a finding of not sustained. So they changed their finding from exonerated to not sustained.
Okay, is there any discussion on 2015?
None from me.
My only question, or my only note, I said not really even a question, I guess for Aaron. The complainant did not give the audio tape to the EPD, correct? She claimed to have an audio tape that would be the only item that I can see that would be of any evidentiary value to substantiate her claim, but I don't see anywhere where she actually handed that over to you at any time.
And it was multiple occasions. We tried to get recording of that video so we could substantiate her claim, but she refused to provide it to us.
Okay. Any other discussion or commentary? Okay, I'd like to move DI 2015 to HSC.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. And we're moving right along to DI 2018. If we could get the synopsis for that one, Aaron.
Sure. So in August of this year, the complainant called and spoke to 311, who just, I know it says service desk officer, it's the title, but it's a 311 phone operator, and was just upset with the level of service. The OPS investigator felt that Rule 1, 6, 4, and 20 applied to this. So the incident was the complainant called and was trying to get a hold of the animal warden. Animal warden wasn't available and could only provide the animal warden's voicemail. The complainant became frustrated and the tone kind of escalated. And the complainant wanted to speak with the service desk officer and the animal warden supervisor, at which time she said that the animal warden did not have, or she did not have the animal warden supervisor's information. So she just wanted to speak with someone about previous service that she had received. And the service desk officer just really kind of did not give her the proper service that she had expected. So it looks like going through this, the service desk officer was given a written reprimand, and also it was suggested that she take a class to manage her stress. So as far as the classes go, that would be something after this is all done and signed off on. So that's a recommendation going forward. So it's something once it goes through you guys back to the chief of police. The chief of police typically on any recommendation like that will send the employee to a class if it is recommended. And again, I know we talked about this at one of the prior cases. The service desk manager reports directly to the deputy chief. So the deputy chief did concur that Rule 20 was violated and the written reprimand and customer service training should take place.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this one? Comments, thoughts, random musings? Okay, if we are all in agreement that the written reprimand was appropriate, we can go ahead and move DI 2018 to HSC.
I second.
Thank you, Jamal.
Just want to make for the record that Nakia has joined the call and will be a part of this vote, this roll call for this vote.
Okay, welcome, Nika, and that was our last case.
Oh my goodness, Nika. I am going to get people's names. I'm so sorry, Nika. It's so not intentional. It really isn't. I respect people's names.
All right, so Kimberly, am I right that we're just going to go into approval of old business?
That is correct.
Okay, so do I move to do that?
Yeah, so this is the summary report. So per our last meeting, we had discussed updating the language in the report. That language has been updated. And so those cases we brought back for your review, along with the cases that we approved last meeting.
Okay, so thank you, Nika, for working on that with Kimberly. And I move that we approve the CPRC report to Human Services Committee. Is that all I have to do? Is that it?
Yeah, so we just need a second.
Okay, so I need a second.
A second.
Thank you. Nika?
Then all those in favor?
Aye. Okay, great work. Great job. Great job. Absolutely.
Thank you, Nika. All right, I think, Kimberly, anything else? Or did we just do that in a half an hour?
We've done it in a half hour. I mean, I would say, I think it does help giving you guys the files ahead of time to review. So I think that does allow for this to be expedited in a way that you can have conversations around things that you need to discuss. With that being said.
Well, I do have a question.
Okay.
Now, I mean, these cases have been pretty benign. Are we getting all of the cases? Are there other issues that we're not seeing that have an impact more than the benign cases that we're seeing? That's my question.
Well, a lot of the cases, a lot of the complaints that come in are what everything. So we're basically going through everything. We're almost done. So after this next meeting, we'll be caught up with all the cases. So the next meeting, we're gonna have that CR, if you remember from that traffic stop that got sent back for review. I will get out that case back to you guys with the follow-up review of that. We also have, let's see here. There's going to be 4 more cases as well. So in those, they're going to be a little more varied. I'd imagine at least one of them, if not a couple of them, you might want to see the video on just from what I know about the cases once you read it. So as soon as I get those done, but yeah, a lot of the complaints that we get, citizen complaints, are how the officer spoke to me, just the disrespect that the officer showed to me. You know, there's one coming up next month, which will be a racially or bias-based harassment. It was the complainant felt that she was racially profiled. So you'll see that. So, so the next 4 are a little more varied.
All right, so here's my second question.
Mhm.
So when these cases happen, you know, we're playing catch up here in 2020. And so they've been behind by 2, 3, even 4 months. But going forward, like a case here that's going to be a little bit, it's going to take more of our focus. Will we have it in time, not, 3, 4 months later? I guess that's.
So these other cases that we've caught up on, we're pretty much at where we would be. Like one of the cases we just got back today, that's going to go for next month, even though the case is from, it looks like it's August. I'm just looking at the spreadsheet. It's August. We're just getting it back because it goes to different supervisors and it goes through the review process. And if a supervisor has a question or needs to review something a little more in depth, they will take that time to do it. So sometimes it does take a few months for it to get up here. Our goal is to have cases to you faster than that. Once our office does the investigation, we can only go at the speed of the supervisors reviewing it.
Sure. Right.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Rick.
No, I'm just saying that, that's a concern. Are we getting it in relatively real time?
Yeah, and you'll see with some of the cases, and you saw it with the one that you're going to be re-reviewing, where there's actually where we're doing the taping and we're doing the interviews, and you guys are getting the transcripts. The officer has rights that we have to abide by, so we have to serve them with notice. They have to have time to get an attorney to come to the interview. So all that stuff just adds weeks into our time frame, where if that wasn't the case, I could just write it up based on my investigation. So
all right, so let's just say we had a Kenosha, let's say we had a Ferguson. How would we be a part of that?
That I don't know, because we would not be investigating that. If there was a officer involved shooting, that goes to an outside agency.
Aaron?
We can, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Commander.
If I could jump in a little bit here, Commander Glew, I've done some officer-involved deaths, not to the magnitude of Ferguson or Kenosha, but I have been involved in several officer-involved death investigations for jurisdictions outside of Evanston. And if we did have an incident like that, if there was involvement by this committee, it would likely be could be quantified in months down the road. What typically happens in these situations where there is a officer involved death, a lot of times that is a shooting. It is investigated by the State Police Integrity Unit. I will say this, they've come a long way in their service to the departments that they're investigating. The demand for transparency and speed has made them more efficient, but it still takes quite a while. Then that case will go to the state's attorney special prosecution, who then will review it, and they'll make a determination on charges. And then any review by a board in Evanston, if that were to take place, would come on the back of that.
If I can jump in, Rick, and help answer that a little bit, in addition to Commander Glew and Sergeant Wernick, if it's a civil rights violation, also if it's a civil rights violation and what we call color of law, so it's a federal violation, the FBI will also jump in and get involved. Then you're talking about years. But our commission, the only way we would get involved in an officer involved shooting or something to the magnitude, even if there's no death, if there's just, a violent incident involving an officer and a citizen, the citizen still has to make a complaint. So I know that we had the citizen network on here earlier. But the bottom line is if the citizens have to make a complaint, so there could be things happening in Evanston, but if no one makes a complaint against the officer, then there's nothing that this commission has any input on. But if it rises to a level of something like Commander Glew just talked about, an officer involved shooting, or a civil rights violation involving an officer, that's going to involve much larger agencies like the ISP, the FBI, and we won't really see it at all. We won't really have any input, again, unless a citizen makes a complaint against a specific police officer or officers. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yeah, so yeah, this committee is just a citizen police review, so it is of citizen complaints.
All right.
There are
I just want to understand the lay of the land. Who are we?
mm-hmm. And just so you know too, there's a lot of internal stuff that happens that, we end up finding fault in our officers, or we see something and we write them up, or one of their supervisors writes them up, and it ends up they get disciplined internally, and that doesn't go to you guys because that's an internal complaint. It wasn't citizen based. So if I get quite a few of those.
Commander Glew, can you speak to, though, there are instances where chief could push for a citizen complaint, even if the citizen doesn't file the affidavit, depending on the occasion?
Yeah, I mean, it's my understanding that, like I said, anything that comes with a DI or a CR that's initiated by a complainant, even if it isn't followed through, that would be, the chief could come forward and say, we still want this, we want this to review, as long as it falls under the ordinance. I think that some of the concerns that were brought forward, the more complicated issues like officer involved deaths and shootings, we kind of covered that. The very lengthy process, reviewed very much so. But the chief can push for things to be reviewed. It just has to fall within the ordinance and so on and so forth. But we're a very transparent organization, and anytime that we're allowed to share and seek, I would say, for lack of a better term, buy-in or consensus, or also transparency with what we're doing, we're going to seek that out. With what we could do within our policy and the law and what's allowed. Going back to concerns about process and how efficient they are, the one thing I will touch on there is Aaron and I have been in discussions for 2021 to make things as quick as we can. Now, our efforts might shave a couple of weeks off the process, but it is on our radar to make the process as efficient as possible, so things are coming to you as timely as they can. And also understanding that your concerns about if there's a case that's coming through with a certain amount of complexity, we will keep our eyes open for those instances and make you aware of them when we can, so you can be prepared. Does that help, Kimberly?
That's very helpful. Thank you, Commander.
Thank you.
The question is, does it help me? And
It's
I
not
don't
going to
know.
help you, Rick. Because you know what? Until you see enough, I think until you see more of these cases coming through, will you have a better understanding.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, legit questions. Okay, I'm good.
I
All right.
appreciate your questions, Rick. And I think other members of the committee, if you have questions outside of the meeting, always feel free to reach out to myself or to Commander Glew or to Sergeant Wernick, because we are here to help and make sure that you all are successful as well. So don't feel the need to, don't feel the need that you have to wait to a meeting, or if you have a question that you want to bring in front of the entire group, that's great. We want to have these dialogues, but just know that we're always available for you all. And even if you're reviewing a case and you kind of need some more guidance on the review, I know Aaron has always said he's available to assist you all in that as well. So I just want to make sure we want you all to be successful, and if there's ways we can be better at it, we'll attempt to make sure that happens.
Yeah, and I think some of this is process, and anytime that we can make ourselves available just to go through unfortunately, the mundane process of how these things travel through and they track would go a long way potentially to explaining why they take a while to go through the process. And, we would definitely be willing to make ourselves available to bring her to speed on just kind of like the mundane day in and day out investigation review of these complaints and why it takes the time that it does.
All right. I'm good for now.
All right, any other questions or comments?
I do have one comment, and I promise we'll be done. So Rick made the comment around why aren't we seeing more complaints and so forth. And I think that is something, as this committee, we have time. I think right now we've been trying to catch up with everything, but as things do slow down, and I know that will happen eventually, that is a question that you have the purview as this committee to talk about, how to better get the word out, or how do we make people feel comfortable in a more effective way of filing a complaint. I know we've had different avenues. I don't know how effective it is, and that's something that we can discuss, and we can prompt questions about that in a future meeting as we have time to look at that. And if you feel that more cases should be coming through that aren't being filed, how can we make residents feel comfortable in filing those complaints and making sure that they feel like they're being heard, versus people just complain to each other or on social media, but there's never any official complaint, so we can't act on it. So that's something that we can discuss at a later date.
How will we discuss that? What would that be? Would that be?
Well, I think it's looking at how are complaints currently coming through, and how many of those complaints are coming through that are, is this way that the system is set up currently, is it effective for more people to feel comfortable coming and filing a complaint? I don't know how do we gonna answer that, because that's a question that I'm saying that we need to think about, because that has always been brought up. Even when we were doing the review, that was a big chunk of the time, was people felt, well, people are not filing complaints because they don't feel their complaints are not going to be accepted, or it's intimidation they may feel in filing that complaint. And I think some of those could be very legitimate. And so I don't think we want to just say, well, we have a form on the website, so there you go. It's something that maybe this group can be helpful with.
Can we make note of that, to our chairperson?
Yeah, I've mentioned that, and once we get through all these cases, I don't think it will be fair to try to have that conversation when we are trying to get through 6 cases, but for sure, we will have time. Trust me, there will be meetings where there will not be cases.
Well, I don't know if that's so, Kimberly. And,
Well,
the
only reason why I say it's so, because the last group kept canceling meetings because they didn't have any cases. So.
Well, still, I think from a process standpoint, I think this commission should have some say in what, could be a process or policy in how we go about citizens' complaints. So, I don't know. I just think that, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just asking questions. I'm learning, this is our third or fourth meeting so far. I'm, just trying to figure it out. Okay. So nothing specific.
If I can jump in here real quick, I'll just say that I made a note of of what was just brought up as far as, are we facilitating intake, so on and so forth. And we just got our pamphlets and stuff in Spanish. So we'll make a note of something else going into 2021 as far as what we can do and some things that we can review that are going to make people more comfortable if they feel they need a complaint, they don't feel comfortable, and also overcoming English as a second language in the complaint process, or not speaking English at all.
Good.
Just real quick, I appreciate what Rick is doing, because I feel like I guess I don't feel this way necessarily, but when I was presented this, it was a little bit different than what we were actually doing. And me and the mayor have talked about it, and I just pretty much echo everything Rick said, in the sense that, like, I'm trying to figure out exactly what we are, because I do care about the citizens here. So I want to make sure that this is productive as possible.
All right, I agree with both Jamal and Rick. I'd like to see us being the change in Evanston and helping the department be the best it can be and protecting our citizens. So maybe that's something that hopefully we can talk about. Aaron, how many cases do we have this month coming to us?
So you're gonna have 4 cases and the 1 re-review of that CR. So it'll be 5 total. But I think the re-review is the just a few pages, the new memo. So, and like I said, I think 1 or 2 of the cases is gonna be a little more in depth for you than you've been seeing.
So Kimberly, if it's possible, I don't know how it really works with the agenda, but if it's possible that we could put this Rick's suggestion on to have a discussion about how we can better involve the citizens, better inform the citizens of this process on our January 6th agenda, knowing that we may not get to it from a time basis. But if we based on how fast we were tonight, it would have been also nice to use this extra time. But perhaps we'll do the same thing in January. If we're quick, we could do it in January. If not, certainly February 3rd, we could make time to have this discussion, so we're not cruising through most of a year of us sitting on this commission without really addressing, I think, what the core problem that Rick's bringing up is, that the citizens don't really know how to make. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Rick? That the citizens don't really know how to make a complaint, or know that they can? I don't know that a lot of people know that they can, or that this power exists for them and that we exist.
Let's talk more about that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have the articulated answer right now, but I just want to just make sure that this commission has impact. Not just looking at benign complaints. And I keep hearing that we're getting all of them. So I just want to just make sure that we have some impact, as opposed to just coming here, once a month and looking at benign complaints.
Okay, is there any other discussion, comments? All right, I move for adjournments, and next meeting is set for January 6th, 2021.
I second the motion.
All right. Everybody have a good holiday then. I don't think we need an all agreement, Kimberly, to adjourn. Wish everybody a happy holiday, health, and a new year.
All right, team.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
All right.